What is up, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. So glad to have you lovely folks back on here. On today's episode, I wanted to take a deep dive into the world of Stoic philosophers, and if you were to watch any video that would serve as a great introduction to three of the key thinkers in the Stoic philosophy history, this would be the episode if you've ever been interested and you want to learn a little bit more about the key three philosophers out of the many that exist: Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Well, this is the episode for you. I'll be giving you guys my understandings of the key takeaways from each of these philosophers' well-storied lives and what we can learn from them and how we can apply them in our day-to-day life. We'll start off with Epictetus, the slave-turned philosopher. Epictetus lived most of his life, the first 30 years of his life, as a slave under horrible conditions. And the first lesson that we learn from Epictetus is your chief task as a human living on this earth is to differentiate between what you can control and what you cannot control. This single lesson pretty much sums up the entirety of Stoicism. This is the idea that focus on what you can control and give it 110%. And discern what you are unable to control, what you're unable to affect, and pay it no mind. We live our day-to-day lives with a series of different tasks that are laid ahead of us and a series of different challenges that are laid ahead of us. Our chief task on this day-to-day basis is understanding fundamentally where we must put our efforts and where we must turn away, where we must sort of tell ourselves that this is not our fight to fight. What you'll find with this understanding, with this judgment, number two, is that events don't disturb us. It's ultimately our judgments about these events that do. What this means is that you have the ability, you have the power to assign a label to any event that arises on a day-to-day basis. It's not the objective or the subjective event and how it manifests itself that has the effect on you. It's your interpretation. It's your perspective of that event that can either leave a lasting negative impression or it can have zero effect on you whatsoever. You have this power. Most people assume that they are the whims of those around them and the events that are out of their control on a day-to-day basis. But ultimately, you assign your perspective to any scenario, no matter how horrible or no matter how bad someone tells you it is. You have the ability, you have the power to have no opinion about something at all. You have the ability to choose to be affected or to not be affected by a slight that someone might say, a comment that you might receive, a feedback that you might receive, something or an email that a customer might send. You have the ability to pick that apart and to tell yourself, no, this does not affect me. I have zero will to be affected by this. And this is the power of us as humans. We have the ability to pick and choose how we view and how we perceive certain things. Number three is to never stop learning. The idea that your knowledge or your journey in knowledge is finished once you graduate from college is a complete fallacy. As humans, we have the ability to continuously take on new data, new events, to learn from our experiences. And this is the power that we truly hold. Consider yourself a vessel that has endless and boundless ability to take on new information. As you progress through your life, each hardship, each opportunity brings with it the unique advantage of adding another point on the board towards who you're ultimately meant to become. Take every experience, every person that you meet, every encounter, every adversity, every challenge, every win as a lesson, as an opportunity to grow, as an opportunity to actually use that experience as raw data to make future decisions. If you look at your day as an opportunity to learn as opposed to a challenge or something to be shied away from or something to close down on, well, no matter how difficult something is that comes up in front of you, you'll look at it as a true opportunity to become better and to learn moving forward. Number four is that you should embrace every single adversity as an opportunity. This builds on the lesson before, which is to look at every single thing that happens to you in life as either an opportunity to learn or an opportunity to grow. You can look at the boxer in the ring that is holding his guard up high, but for some reason his right hand is lowered and he continuously gets socked with a jab or a left hook. What you learn from that is to keep your right hand up. You learn through pain that if you choose to put your hand down, then you're going to get socked. The same is true with life. Each and every single adversity can bring with it a learning experience, an opportunity for you to grow. And that's the best way to look at adversity. Not as something to tear you down, but as something to bring you up, by the sheer will to overcome it and to learn from your mistakes. Next up, we'll discuss Seneca, the merchant philosopher, someone who lived a great life but managed to maintain his humbleness, managed to maintain his groundedness, and sure, ultimately he was killed, he was betrayed by the people he trusted most, but someone who even in death was able to maintain a sense of dignity and uprightness about him, and this is Seneca. The first lesson we learn from Seneca is that most suffering that you'll experience occurs in imagination, not in reality. We imagine our suffering more than we experience it. We think through anxiety, through future projection of the things that might happen. We keep telling ourselves and we keep informing ourselves of all of the doomsday scenarios that could happen in all areas of our life. We do this as a way to cope. We do this as a way to potentially protect ourselves, but what we don't notice is through this projection, through this false sense of security, of assuming the worst will happen, what we do is we tear away at ourselves. We find ourselves in endless spirals of anxiety that never seems to end. And this doesn't help anyone. It creates shallow experiences on a day-to-day basis. It keeps you on the defensive. It keeps you not willing to be vulnerable, not willing to truly show your authentic self and to give your authentic self to the world. By imagining suffering, we suffer more than we need to. Number 6, look at adversity as a test of character. Each situation that brings with it adversity, that brings with it hardship to your life, is another opportunity for you to put your character to the test, to put the person that you're building, to put the mindset that you've grown to the test. Your adversity allows you to strengthen who you are, to solidify your character, to continuously pour cement into your foundation, to make that foundation ever stronger. You should welcome adversity. He who is not tested by adversity will never know the limits of his potential. He who lives comfortably within his potential ultimately will remain a shadow or a shell of what he could be or what she could be. Embrace adversity. Seek adversity in your day-to-day life. Understand that it is through facing and overcoming adversity, whether it is through a quote-unquote failure or a quote-unquote success, that you'll really find the limits of who you could be. And you'll continuously push past those limits to become the person you ultimately need to be. Number 7 is choose your company wisely. And as Robert Greene says, avoid at all costs the unhappy and the unlucky. Why should we do this? The people that we choose to keep company with, the people that we choose to interact with, will always leave a mark on us whether we like it or not. We may tell ourselves that certain friends, certain acquaintances, certain family members are there for life. And though we should never turn our backs on the people that matter to us the most, understand that whether you like it or not, the people you surround yourself with are going to leave an imprint on you. Whether this is a tangible imprint that you can immediately see in the mirror, or this is something that others can sense on you, over time, the people that you surround yourself with will have a tremendous impact in how your life manifests. Choose to keep and surround yourself with people that will uplift you, people that will expand your horizons, people who will challenge you, people who will pull you into the right direction. And just as they will do that for you, become the kind of person that can do that for them as well. Also, surround yourself with people that you can teach. It is in teaching and mentorship that you're able to solidify the things you learn. It is in teaching and mentorship that you're able to give your gift to the world in a unique way, in a way that you can't quite do with anything else. Last but not least, we have to discuss Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, the Stoic emperor philosopher. And from Marcus, we learn first and foremost that in order to be productive, you must embrace the day, you must wake up early, and that well begun is half done. And what this means is that in order to truly live a life in which you can fulfill your ambitions, in which you can impact the world in a way that you cannot do that waking up late. You cannot do that waking up at midday. You must wake up early. You must wake up at the crack of dawn. You must wake up when others are asleep and tackle the day head on and give it everything you've got. We all struggle with the ability to wake up. We all struggle with that feeling of wanting to stay under the covers. We all struggle with the ability or the inability to kickstart our day. But it is in that momentous struggle in which we force ourselves to wake up early, in which we force ourselves to attack the day, that we give ourselves the first win of the day that can continue its momentum into more and more successes down the line. To have a great life, you must have a great year. To have a great year, you must have a great month. To have a great month, you must have a great week. To have a great week, you must have a great day. And ultimately, to have a great day, you must have a great morning. Number 9 is to turn obstacles into opportunities. Obstacles, hardships, adversity, conflicts are inevitable in our lives. We have 2 choices in our obstacles. We can look at obstacle as something that is going to block our path, as something to force us to turn around, or we can look at an obstacle as a challenge, as an opportunity for us to put forth the virtues of patience, resilience, strength, and endurance. And we can choose to look at that obstacle as a way to learn how to overcome that obstacle. There's a well-known quote that says, "The impediment to action advances to action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Ultimately, the obstacle that stands in front of you becomes the version of the person that you become as you learn to overcome that obstacle. It is through overcoming obstacles consistently, it is through learning how to process challenges, adversity, that we become the people who are capable of dealing with the world, of contending with the world in a way that is grounded, that is wise, and that is powerful, and that allows us to give our gift consistently over and over in more and more expressive ways. Lesson number 10 is to choose to embrace Stoic virtues in the face of adversity. The 4 virtues of Stoicism are that of virtue, courage, wisdom, and temperance. And there is no scenario, there is no situation, there is no day in which we cannot practice any one of these 4 different virtues. Each opportunity, each event brings with it a unique set of scenarios that allow us to put forth these practices, to become better at deploying them, to become more stringent in our practice of deploying our virtues of Stoicism on a day-to-day basis. Number 11 is to always recognize your good fortune in the good and the bad. It's important to be grateful. It's important to be thankful. It's important to wake up every day and to thank whoever it may be for what little or what lot that you have. But at the same time, it's important to look at every positive and especially every negative as good fortune. You could look at a disastrous scenario in a negative way. You might say that this is unfortunate that this has happened. On the contrary, you must say that this is fortunate that it has happened to me. And I have remained unchanged, unaffected. My character remains intact, my dignity remains intact. This could have destroyed someone else, but it did not destroy me. I was able to rise to the challenge, and I was able to remain unaffected by it. And what a beautiful thing that is. Number 12 is to always meditate on your mortality, to understand that life is not infinite, and whether you believe in the next life or not, it is ultimately the things that you do in this life that set you up for the next life. Each and every single day that you live gives you and presents a unique opportunity to test yourself, to prove to yourself that you are grabbing life by the horns, that you are being the version of the person that you wish to be, that you're tackling adversity in the way that you must, and by understanding that you don't get an infinite amount of minutes. The moment in front of you, the conversation in front of you, the event in front of you has that much more value, because you'll never have that same sunset, you'll never have that same conversation, you'll never have that same walk. Sure, you may live another day to repeat those experiences, but you'll never have that same experience. You'll never have that same sunset. It is in each and every moment, and it's in its singularity that you give it infinite value. And it's because we are given days, right? It's not something that we necessarily have to work for, whether you're a bum or whether you're a hardworking entrepreneur. The hardworking entrepreneur may live till 30, but the bum may live till 90. It is not the days that matter. It is how we use and how we deploy those days that matter. And it is in the fact that we don't know when we might go. It might be today, it might be in 90 years, that we must take each day as if truly it is your last day, and to make of it the maximum amount that you can.